Alex Morgan rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the computer screen. The small office at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was quiet at 2 a.m. Only the hum of computers and the occasional beep broke the silence. For the third night in a row, he stayed late reviewing data from the Webb Hubble array. Something wasn't right with the readings. Alex had spotted a pattern in the signals coming from beyond the edge of the Milky Way. It wasn't random noise. It repeated too perfectly. "It has to be equipment error," he muttered to himself, taking another sip of cold coffee. But the signal persisted. Every 12 hours, the same sequence appeared. Alex checked and rechecked the equipment. Everything worked fine. This was something real. The next morning, Alex showed his findings to his colleague, Lisa Brown. "Look at this pattern," Alex said, pointing to the screen. "It repeats exactly every 12 hours. Lisa frowned as she studied the data. Probably just interference. Or maybe a pulsar we haven't cataloged yet. "Pulsars don't send signals like this," Alex insisted. "These have mathematical sequences, prime numbers, followed by what looks like coordinates." "You need sleep," Lisa said with a small smile. "You're seeing patterns that aren't there." But Alex couldn't let it go. That evening, he brought the data to Dr. Susan Hayes, the department head. "Dr. Hayes, I need more telescope time." Alex said, "I found something important." Susan looked skeptical. "We're on a tight schedule, Alex. The Europa mission has priority." "Just look at this data." Alex pushed the tablet across her desk. "This signal comes from outside our galaxy. The pattern repeats with perfect precision." Susan studied the readings. Her expression changed from doubt to curiosity. "You think this is artificial?" she asked quietly. "I don't know what it is," Alex admitted. "But it's not natural. Natural phenomena don't send prime number sequences." Susan was quiet for a long moment. "I can give you 8 hours on the array. Not a minute more. Don't tell anyone yet. We need more data before we make any claims." "Thank you," Alex said, relief washing over him. That night, Alex called his wife, Olivia. Her face appeared on the video screen, her blonde hair tied back, looking tired after her shift at the hospital. "I'll be late again," Alex said. "Susan gave me telescope time." Olivia sighed. "That's the 4th night this week, Alex. Is everything okay?" "I found something strange. A signal from outside our galaxy." "Aliens?" Olivia asked with a small smile. "I don't know," Alex said honestly. "But it's not natural." "Just don't forget to eat," Olivia said. "And call me, no matter how late." Alex spent the entire night watching the signal. Each time it appeared, he recorded every detail. By morning, he had confirmed it. The pattern contained over 200 prime numbers in sequence, followed by what appeared to be spatial coordinates. When Susan arrived at work, Alex was waiting with the new data. "It's not equipment error," he said, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. "The signal is artificial. Someone or something is sending this message." Susan studied the new readings carefully. "We need to assemble a team. Quietly. If this gets out before we verify it, we'll be laughed out of the scientific community. Or cause panic," Alex added. "Take the rest of the day off," Susan ordered. "Get some sleep. Come back tomorrow with a clear head. I'll get you more telescope time." When Alex arrived home, Olivia was already gone for her shift. He fell into bed, his mind racing with possibilities. As sleep finally claimed him, one thought remained. Humanity might not be alone in the universe, and for some reason, someone was trying to reach us. The discovery that would change everything had begun with simple curiosity, the drive to look closer at an anomaly others had missed. It was the most human quality of all. And it was about to connect humanity to something far beyond their understanding. 6 months passed. Alex's small office had transformed into a makeshift command center. Charts, star maps, and printouts covered every wall. 3 computers ran constantly, analyzing the mysterious signal. The team had grown to include Kevin Lewis, a grad student with a gift for mathematics, and Lisa Brown, who now believed in Alex's discovery. "I've got something," Kevin said one morning, his eyes red from staring at code all night. "The signal isn't just numbers. It's a map." Alex and Lisa crowded around Kevin's screen. The young man had transformed the signal's pattern into a three-dimensional star chart. "These points," Kevin explained, pointing to glowing dots, "match known star systems in our galaxy. But this one," he pointed to a blinking red dot far outside the familiar spiral of the Milky Way. "This is where the signal originates." Alex felt his heart race. "You're sure?" "I've checked it 10 times, Kevin said. "The coordinates are precise." Lisa shook her head in wonder. "But that's millions of light years away. How is this possible?" "I don't know," Alex admitted, "but we need to tell Susan immediately." Susan called an emergency meeting with NASA's administration. The team presented their findings in a small conference room. "We believe this is a deliberate communication," Alex explained, showing the star map. "The signal contains navigation coordinates to a location beyond our galaxy." The room was silent. Then Bill Jenkins, the budget director, cleared his throat. "Dr. Morgan, while this is fascinating, what exactly are you proposing we do? We can't reach beyond our galaxy with current technology." "We can at least respond," Alex argued. "Send a signal back." "With what budget?" Jenkins asked. "The Europa mission is already straining our resources." The meeting ended without a decision. Alex's team was told to continue their research, but not to expect additional funding. That evening, Alex sat in a downtown bar, staring into his untouched beer. Lisa and Kevin had gone home, discouraged by NASA's response. "Mind if I join you?" a voice asked. Alex looked up to see a tall man in an expensive suit. He recognized him immediately from news reports. "Jack Carter," the man said, extending his hand. "Founder of Carter Space Industries." "I know who you are," Alex said, shaking the billionaire's hand. "What can I do for you, Mr. Carter?" "Call me Jack," the man said, sliding into the booth. "And it's about what I can do for you, Dr. Morgan. Your discovery has piqued my interest." Alex frowned. "My work is classified. How do you know about it?" Jack smiled. "I have friends in high places, and I have resources NASA doesn't." "What are you suggesting?" "A partnership," Jack said. "My company has been developing experimental propulsion technology. With proper funding, we might reach your coordinates within a human lifetime." Alex stared at the billionaire. "You want to build a ship." "I want to make history," Jack corrected. "And I think you do too." Before Alex could respond, his phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "Don't trust Carter. Meet me tomorrow. 10 a.m. Lincoln Memorial." Alex looked up, but his face remained neutral. "I'll need to discuss this with my team." "Of course," Jack handed Alex a business card. "Call me when you're ready to change the world." After Jack left, Alex stared at the mysterious text. Who would warn him about Carter? The next morning, Alex arrived at the Lincoln Memorial early. At exactly 10 a.m., a man in a plain suit approached. "Dr. Morgan, I'm Eric Thompson, intelligence analyst with the National Security Agency." "Why the secrecy?" Alex asked. "Because your signal has caught attention beyond scientific circles," Thompson explained quietly. "The pattern bears similarities to encrypted military communications. Some people at the Pentagon think it could be a weapon system activation code." Alex felt cold despite the warm morning. "It's not a weapon. It's a map." "Maybe," Thompson conceded. "But if you build this ship with Carter, you won't be going alone. The government will want someone on board. Someone like me." Alex realized the discovery was growing beyond his control. What had started as scientific curiosity was now entangled with government secrets and private billionaires. The signal from beyond the galaxy was changing everything, just as the map of stars had predicted. 2 years flew by in a whirlwind of activity. What had begun as Alex's small discovery had become the largest joint project between government and private industry in history. Carter Space Industries and NASA worked together to build humanity's first ship capable of traveling beyond the Milky Way. The ship sat in the massive hangar, gleaming under bright lights. Its name was painted on the sleek hull, U.S. Curiosity. Alex stood before it, still unable to believe it was real. Impressive, isn't it? Dr. Maria Rodriguez walked up beside him. The physicist had developed the revolutionary propulsion system that would power the ship. Near-light speed travel, something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Will it work? Alex asked quietly. Maria smiled with confidence. The test flights were successful. The engine creates a bubble in space-time that will carry us faster than we ever thought possible. We should reach the coordinates in just under 3 years. If we survive, Alex added. Always the optimist, Maria laughed. The crew selection had been rigorous. Commander John Phillips, a veteran astronaut with 3 space station missions, would lead. Samantha Lee, the youngest and most talented pilot in NASA's program, would fly the ship. Dr. Paul Wilson, a xenobiologist, would study any life forms they might encounter. Carol Martinez, the chief engineer, would keep the ship running. Gray Harris, communications specialist, would try to decode any new signals. Agent Eric Thompson had been officially assigned as security officer, though Alex knew his real mission was to protect Earth's interests, and Alex would serve as chief scientist. The night before launch, Alex went home to say goodbye to Olivia. Their apartment was quiet. They had said most of their goodbyes already. 3 years there, 3 years back, Olivia said, sitting beside him on their couch. 6 years if everything goes perfectly. The ship has hibernation chambers, Alex reminded her. For us, it will feel like months, not years. Olivia took his hand. Promise me you'll come back. I promise, Alex said, though both knew it was a promise he might not be able to keep. Olivia reached into her pocket and pulled out a small pendant on a chain. It was silver with a blue stone in the center. This belonged to my grandmother. She gave it to me when I was a little girl. She said it would protect me. Now I want you to have it. Alex put it around his neck. I'll bring it back to you. The next morning, the crew gathered for final preparations. They wore their flight suits, each with a patch bearing the mission name, Beyond the Milky Way. Millions watched around the world as they boarded the ship. Inside the Curiosity, they strapped into their seats. Alex touched the pendant beneath his suit for luck. All systems green. Samantha reported from the pilot's seat. Mission Control, this is Curiosity. Commander Phillips said, we are go for launch. Curiosity, you are cleared for launch, came the reply. Godspeed. The countdown began. Alex closed his eyes as the engines fired. The force pressed him back into his seat as the ship rose into the sky. Within minutes, they had left Earth's atmosphere and entered orbit. First stage complete, Samantha announced, preparing for light-speed drive activation. Through the viewport, Alex could see Earth growing smaller. Soon it was just a blue dot among countless stars. He thought of Olivia, watching from below. Light-speed drive activating in 3, 2, 1. Maria counted down at her station. The stars stretched into lines of light around them. The ship shuddered for a moment, then steadied. They were on their way to the unknown coordinates beyond the Milky Way. Now we find out who's been calling us, Commander Phillips said. Alex nodded. Humanity had taken its first real step into the wider universe. Whatever waited for them at the signal source, there was no turning back now. 6 months into the journey, life aboard the Curiosity settled into a routine. The crew worked in shifts, monitoring systems and running tests. Space stretched endlessly outside the viewports, stars streaking by as the ship maintained its incredible speed. But the journey was taking its toll. Small problems grew into larger ones. The ship's revolutionary engine began to behave strangely. Power levels fluctuated without explanation. The engine is drawing more power than it should, Maria reported during a crew meeting. Her usual confidence had faded. "I've run every test I can think of, but something isn't right. Can you fix it?" Commander Phillips asked. Maria shook her head. "I don't fully understand what's happening. If these readings are correct, we're creating micro-tears in space-time. They seal themselves, but each one puts stress on the ship." "What does that mean for us?" Samantha asked from her seat. "It means we might not be able to return home," Maria said quietly. "The engine might fail completely after we reach our destination." The mood in the room darkened. Carol, the engineer, spoke up. "We need to conserve power. Limit non-essential systems." "Agreed," Phillips said. "Starting today, we run on minimal power. Heating will be reduced. Personal devices limited to 1 hour per day." As the meeting ended, Alex noticed Agent Thompson watching him closely. The government man rarely spoke during crew meetings, but his eyes missed nothing. The cold became their constant companion. The crew wore extra layers as they worked. Frost formed on interior walls far from the engine room. They gathered in the small mess hall, huddling around the warmth of the kitchen equipment. 2 weeks later, disaster struck. A radiation storm hit the ship without warning. Alarms blared as deadly rays penetrated the hull. "Everyone to the shelter," Phillips ordered over the intercom. The crew rushed to the central chamber, designed with extra shielding. They sealed the door just as the radiation levels peaked. Equipment sparked and died around the ship. "How long will it last?" Greg asked, his face pale in the emergency lighting. "There's no way to know," Alex replied. "Hours, maybe days." They sat in silence, listening to the storm rage outside. Alex touched the pendant Olivia had given him, drawing comfort from the connection to home. To his surprise, the blue stone glowed faintly in the dim light. "Your necklace," Paul noticed. "It's glowing." Alex pulled it out, watching as the blue light pulsed gently. "It's never done this before." Carol moved closer, examining it with professional interest. "It's responding to the radiation. Whatever that stone is, it's not from any jewelry store." "May I?" Paul asked, holding out his hand. Alex hesitated, then removed the pendant. Paul studied it, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear of the storm. "This is fascinating," he said. "The stone appears to be absorbing radiation. It's actually getting warmer." Before they could discuss it further, Thompson stepped forward. "Let me see that." The agent's tone made everyone look up. Gone was his usual careful neutrality. He looked alarmed. "Do you know what this is?" Alex asked. Thompson took the pendant, examining it closely. "Where did you get this?" "My wife gave it to me. It belonged to her grandmother." Thompson looked at Alex with new intensity. "Dr. Morgan, similar artifacts have been discovered at archaeological sites around the world. Ancient sites. They've been classified top secret for decades." The crew stared at him in silence. "You're saying this isn't the first contact?" Alex realized. "Whatever is sending the signal has been to Earth before." "We found dozens of these objects," Thompson admitted, "all with the same unknown element in the center, all older than human civilization. We just never knew what they were for." The radiation storm continued outside, but inside the shelter, a different kind of storm was brewing. The mission had just become more complicated. They weren't just exploring the unknown. They were returning to something humanity had forgotten. Alex took back the pendant, feeling its warmth. "I think whoever sent that signal wants us to find them, and they left breadcrumbs for us to follow." The Curiosity finally reached the coordinates after 3 years of travel. The crew gathered on the bridge, staring at the main screen in wonder. Before them floated a massive structure unlike anything humans had ever built. "It's huge," Samantha whispered. "Must be at least 10 miles across." The structure was ring-shaped, with glowing blue energy swirling in its center. Small lights blinked along its outer edge. It hung in space like a giant eye, watching their approach. "Any signals?" Commander Phillips asked. Greg shook his head. Nothing we can detect, sir. It has to be artificial, Alex said. The signal led us right to it. Should we try to communicate? Paul asked. Phillips nodded. Send our standard greeting package. All languages, mathematical sequences, basic scientific principles. Greg transmitted the message they had prepared for first contact. Then they waited. Hours turned into days. The Curiosity circled the massive ring at a safe distance, scanning and recording everything. On the 7th day, as hope began to fade, the pendant around Alex's neck suddenly grew warm. The blue stone glowed brightly. Something's happening, Alex called out. The main screen flickered. Strange symbols appeared, flowing across the display like water. I can't translate this, Greg said, typing frantically at his console. Alex felt a strange pull from the pendant. Without thinking, he touched it to the console. The symbols changed instantly, forming into English letters. A Puro H Central Ring. Activate Gateway. The crew stared at the message. It's responding to your pendant, Maria said. Somehow it's connected to the technology here. It could be a trap, Thompson warned. Commander Phillips considered their options. We came all this way to make contact. We can't turn back now. He ordered Samantha to pilot the ship closer to the ring. As they approached, more instructions appeared. Align with Central Access. Enit Signal Frequency 1082. 7. Greg adjusted their communication array to broadcast on the specified frequency. The blue energy in the ring's center began to swirl faster. A beam of light shot out, scanning the ship from bow to stern. It's reading us, Carol said, watching the engineering displays. Analyzing our technology. The scanning beam disappeared. The energy in the ring's center parted like curtains, creating an opening. Gateway activated. Proceed. It wants us to go through, Alex said. Go through what? Thompson demanded. We have no idea what's on the other side. The signal has guided us correctly so far, Alex argued. This is why we came. After much debate, Phillips made his decision. Take us in, slow and steady. Samantha guided the ship toward the opening. As they passed through the energy field, the ship shuddered. Lights flickered. For a moment, everything went dark. Then, suddenly, stars appeared again on their screens. But they were different stars, in different patterns. Where are we? Phillips asked. Maria checked her instruments, her face pale with shock. According to these readings, we're in an entirely different galaxy. Before they could process this information, small ships appeared around them. Dozens of sleek vessels, clearly not human in design. They formed a pattern around the Curiosity, neither threatening nor retreating. A new message appeared on their screen. Well suum, Chajel Durian of Earth. We AAV long for your arrival. They're communicating directly into our systems, Greg said. I'm not even receiving a transmission. It's just appearing. One of the alien ships moved closer. A beam of light connected it to the Curiosity. Alex felt a strange sensation in his mind, like gentle fingers sorting through his thoughts. They're scanning us, he realized. Not our ship, us. Our minds. A voice spoke in their heads, gentle but powerful. We are the architects. We have watched your kind for many cycles. You have passed the first test by finding your way to us. Test? Phillips asked aloud. All young species must prove their readiness. The voice continued. The artifacts we left on your world guided your development. Now you must show us if humanity is ready for the knowledge we offer. Alex touched the pendant at his neck, understanding now why it had felt familiar. It wasn't human technology at all. It was a key, left behind by visitors who had been watching humanity for thousands of years. Humanity's first contact had finally begun. The crew of the Curiosity was brought aboard the main architect vessel. The alien ship was vast inside, with curved walls that glowed with soft light. The air smelled like flowers and the sea. The architects themselves were surprising. They looked almost human, but with skin that shimmered like mother-of-pearl and eyes that changed color with their emotions. They moved with fluid grace. "We have observed many species," explained the lead architect, who called herself Mira. She communicated through a mix of spoken words and mental images. "Yours is among the most curious. This quality is rare and valuable. Why have you been watching us?" Alex asked. "To see if you were ready to join the galactic community," Mira said. "All advanced species must pass our tests before gaining access to knowledge that could be dangerous in the wrong hands." The architects had created a coalition of civilizations spanning multiple galaxies. Each species brought unique skills and perspectives. Humans, they explained, had a special mix of curiosity, creativity, and determination. "Now you must each face a final test," Mira announced. The crew was separated. Each was led to a different chamber where they would face a challenge designed specifically for them. Alex entered a round room with walls that displayed the entire universe in miniature. Stars and galaxies spun around him. "Your test begins," came Mira's voice in his mind. The room shifted. Alex now stood before two doors. Through one, he could see endless books and computer screens containing all the knowledge of the universe. Through the other, he saw Earth and the faces of his crewmates and Olivia. "Choose," Mira said. "Unlimited knowledge or return home to share what you've already learned." Alex thought carefully. "What happens if I choose knowledge?" "You will remain with us, learning all we know, but you can never return home." Alex looked at the knowledge door with longing. Then he turned toward the image of Earth. "My curiosity is strong," he said, "but it means nothing if I can't share what I learn. I choose to return home." The doors vanished. Mira appeared, smiling. "You have passed your test." Meanwhile, the others faced their own challenges. Paul, the xenobiologist, was asked to study an alien disease and decide whether to save an alien child or protect humanity from possible infection. He found a third option, risking his own life to create a cure that would help both. Carol, the engineer, had to solve an impossible problem with limited tools, teaching her to value creativity over technology. Greg, the communications specialist, had to understand the language of a species that communicated through color and light, learning that true communication went beyond words. Samantha, the pilot, navigated a simulated flight through dangers, discovering that sometimes the best path forward required going backward first. Commander Phillips faced a leadership challenge, having to choose between the safety of his crew and the success of the mission. He chose his people, demonstrating that humans valued life over achievement. But Agent Thompson's test revealed the truth. The architects showed him a vision of his secret orders: to secure alien technology for military use, regardless of the cost. When the crew was reunited, the architects were solemn. "Most of you have passed your tests," Mira said, "but one among you came with deception in his heart." All eyes turned to Thompson, who stood stiffly. "I was following orders," he said. "My government wanted to ensure Earth's safety." "By seeking weapons?" Mira asked sadly. "This is why we test species before sharing our knowledge. Those who seek power above understanding are not ready." "What happens now?" Alex asked. "Normally, we would send you home without further contact," Mira explained. "One failure means humanity is not yet ready." The crew's hopes fell. After coming so far, they would return empty-handed. However, Mira continued, "We will offer you one final challenge. Together, you must solve a problem that none of you could solve alone. Show us that humanity's greatest strength is not individual brilliance, but your ability to work as one." The final challenge took place in a large circular room. In the center stood a complex device with many parts that constantly shifted and changed. "This is the Unity puzzle," Mira explained. "It represents the problems all civilizations face. No single person can solve it alone. You have 1 hour." The device hummed with energy. It had different sections with various controls, screens, and strange symbols. "Remember what we've learned about you," Mira said before leaving. "Show us who humanity truly is." At first, they all tried different approaches, working separately. Thompson stayed apart, ashamed of his failure. "This isn't working," Commander Phillips said after 20 minutes had passed. "We need to coordinate. I think each section is designed for our specific skills," Alex suggested, studying the puzzle. "Look at this part. These symbols match the ones Greg deciphered on the gateway. And this section has flight controls similar to our ship," Samantha added. They began to work together. Greg focused on the communication symbols. Carol tackled the engineering section. Samantha worked on the navigation controls. Paul studied the biological components that seemed to respond to touch. Alex and Phillips coordinated their efforts. But something was still missing. The puzzle remained incomplete. "We need everyone," Alex realized. He turned to Thompson, who stood apart. "Including you." "Why would you want my help?" Thompson asked bitterly. "I failed my test." "Because you're part of our crew," Phillips said firmly. "And this isn't about individual success or failure. It's about working together despite our differences." Reluctantly, Thompson joined them. To everyone's surprise, one section of the puzzle seemed designed specifically for security protocols, similar to those he had trained with. "I think I understand," Alex said. "The lesson isn't that we all need to be perfect. It's that our strengths can balance our weaknesses if we work together." With 5 minutes remaining, they coordinated their actions. Each crew member solved their part of the puzzle in sequence, creating a chain reaction. The device began to glow with golden light. The pieces aligned perfectly, forming a miniature model of the Milky Way galaxy connected to the architect's home galaxy. As the timer reached 0, the puzzle locked into its final form. The door opened, and Mira entered with other architects. "You have succeeded," she announced, her eyes shining with approval. "Despite individual failures, together you found harmony." "Does this mean humanity passes the test?" Alex asked. "Yes," Mira said. "We will grant you limited access to our knowledge and technology. Not everything. Your species still has much growing to do, but enough to help you advance." The architects presented them with gifts. Sustainable energy technology that would end Earth's dependence on fossil fuels, medical advances that could cure many diseases, and an official invitation to join the galactic community once humanity resolved its internal conflicts. "One thing puzzles me," Alex said. "Why choose us? Why Earth?" "Your curiosity," Mira explained. "Many species are intelligent, but few possess your drive to explore the unknown, even at great risk. This quality is precious in our community." 2 weeks later, the Curiosity prepared to return home. The architects had repaired their engine and provided safe passage back through the gateway. "Will we see you again?" Alex asked Mira during their farewell. "Sooner than you might think," she replied. "We have always been watching. Now we will be waiting. Your people have great potential if you can overcome your divisions." The journey home was faster and smoother with the architects' help. As Earth came into view on their screens, the crew felt both joy and worry. They carried knowledge that would change everything. "What happens now?" Thompson asked, standing beside Alex at the viewport. "Now comes the hard part," Alex replied. "We have to convince humanity to unite and grow up." He touched the pendant around his neck. It no longer glowed, having served its purpose. But Alex knew the real work was just beginning. The curiosity that had driven him to investigate a strange signal had opened the door to the stars. Now humanity needed to prove they deserved their place among them.